because they want to come up on here every day and let me know they don't like my hair, which I think is nuts. But I find it also quite interesting. But I live in their head rent free. We're going to do a few questions before we jump into this. So if you've got questions, you've got something you want asked, answered, anything we can help with, let me know. Put it in the chat, whether you're on Instagram or whether you're on TikTok. And if you're joining us on this camera here on Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn, good morning. Thank you for coming in. I've been going on the others for a few minutes just because I am not in a place where I can multitask that well. So it's one of the big things out there. Okay. So I'm going to do a quick couple of questions because there's a couple on here. Goal setting, Ben. I'm going to talk about goal setting in a minute, so hang around for that. So I'm going to do some questions. Insta, if you've got any. YouTube, I'm probably not going to see them. It does come up on StreamYard, but it's normally quite slow. LinkedIn, again, it might come up. Sometimes it shows up after. So if I don't reply to that, I'm sorry. So I'm going to go through the questions because they pop up quite well on Instagram and TikTok, quite easy. Ecom Josh Carter, got plenty of leads, just need setters and closers. Right, okay, so just be clear, Josh Carter, I have not asked him to come and say this. And it's something that for most people out there is a problem. This comes on to what I was just talking about. So last year, we were working with businesses that were generating leads. They had a high ticket product they could sell, and we would work with them. So we would build out their strategy, their framework, their pitch, their script, their booking system, their CRM, their funnel. And we would do all that. We would train them up. They'd make money. The problem was we would take them from, say, making $5,000 a month to 30 grand a month, right? But then after our program, they're a little bit like, I don't want to do all the selling, and I don't know who to hire, and I don't know where to find good closers. So this is something which we did this year, is we have launched a graduate closer program. So we have two sides of what we do. We work with the business, typically solo sales-led businesses that are selling outbound high-ticketed closing, or people that are booking appointments through webinars, and then they need a closer. And then on the flip side, we're also then working with salespeople, because I've got a lot of love for salespeople, and a lot of salespeople out there right now are in jobs where they could be doing far more. They could make a lot more money, but they're stuck in where they're at. Or they've done a bit of high ticket closing, but they don't know how to go and get a placement. So then we're in a position, well, I've got high ticket salespeople in my audience that want a better position and freedom. And I've got business owners that want motivated people to actually close their deals. So now we do both sides. So tomorrow we go live at midday in a group for 12 people. And they're on a paid program, but for 12 weeks, we're going to train them high ticket closing. So in short, Josh, get in touch. And then on the flip side, if someone's a client of ours, what we then do is we then build their business up. We get their script right, their training right. We work with them. We work with the team if they've got them. We get their processes aligned. We get their conversions up. And then we meet them, introduce them to one of these high ticket closers. And then you've got someone who's on a commission basis to actually close your business. Now, this comes on to Ben talking about goals. So when we were looking at what we wanted to do for this year, so I hope that helps, Josh. Get in touch. If you hit the link in the bio, there's an application form for both in there, for high ticket closing and for the Conversations to Clients program. And this brings us into what we're talking about, goal setting. So I will come on to that in just a second for you. Josh, no worries. Reach in. Yeah, Chris, if you go to the link in bio, hang on. I stupidly, everyone, put an app on my phone that turns all my social medias off. Right, let's see if they're still there. Right, are you still there? If you're on TikTok and you can still hear this, put in the chat that you can hear it. I've got an app called Opal, and it turns off all my social medias, and I completely forgot it was set up. So it just turned everything off and paused it. So if you're here on TikTok, it shows us 46. If you can just give me a thumbs up if you can still hear us. Okay, I think it is still live. Leon, good to see you. Okay, not getting any thumbs up on the... So I don't know if people can still hear me. We'll just carry on anyway. So LinkedIn, you should be able to hear me. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, you can still hear us. And then TikTok as well. You should be able to still hear us. Okay, so to carry on what we're doing. If you're at the stage now where you're in high ticket sales or you want to be in high ticket sales, there's a link in the bio. If you're a business where it's just you doing the selling or you've got one salesperson, two salespeople, and you want to improve it, there's a link in the bio. I'm going to do some Q&As, then we're going to get into the other stuff. Lloyd, good to see you, mate. Thank you for letting me know. Alex Williams from London, been selling cars in the US for 2 years. Now I'm a sales manager. Nice work, buddy. Hope that's going well. Morgan, thank you. Josh, you're very welcome, my man. Chris, you'll message me, salesperson, hit the link in the bio. There's an application form, fill it out and we can have a chat. Oh, hang on, Joe. Joe says, I feel like when I'm selling, I'm doing well. However, I'm too nice and I need to get to the point. Okay. So here's the thing with this, Joe. What we're normally doing is if we're not getting to the point, what we're doing is saying a lot of filler words that is just skirting around the conversation. And this is completely and utterly normal for most people in sales. Often we'll use 30 words where actually we could get away with using 5 or 10. This is why it's so important to get clear about what you're saying and when you're saying it. The structure of the conversation, the questions you're going to ask, not just to get them to give you a reply, but so you can have a smooth and flowing conversation. Morning, fatherhood. And then you can go across. If you feel like you're being rude, often that's because we're talking too much and we're talking over someone instead of having more impact in the words that we say. But reach out, Joe, if we can help at all. Morgan Swift says, best sales film. Glengarry Glen Ross was a really good film. That's got Kevin Spacey, Al Pacino. I can't remember the other guy's name. I think he shot someone on the film set a couple of years ago. What was his name? I can't remember. But that's a really good film. I think most motivational films are good. It's not necessarily about a sales film, but I think with some of the stuff that's out there, it's good about seeing the mindset of the way people think and the psychology behind it. The Usual Suspects isn't a sales film, but it's a real clever film about the psychology of the way people think and what they use information for, which I think is good. Josh says, got plenty of... Oh, yeah, sorry, we've just done that one. Okay, Mike Ogslung, I charge. It's not rent-free. I use your method. Cool, bud. Glad you're enjoying it. Free Palestine asked me, what way do I swing? A very random question to ask, so appreciate that. What are your thoughts on cold emailing over cold calling? Okay, this is from JMC96. I think doing consistent outbound prospecting is a really solid thing for your skill set anyway. So I believe picking up the phone is one of the better ways to do that. But that's selfishly because I like being on the phone. I'm not a massive fan of just emailing loads of people. On the flip side, if someone in their business is great at emailing, you're really consistent at what you do. And that's the biggest thing to be able to move forward. And that's the whole thing that you need to make sure that you're thinking about is, where do my strengths lie? What am I going to consistently do to a high standard? And then think about who's the people that I'm trying to work with. Are they opening up my emails or not? We work with a company in the States. They generate all their appointments. Well, not all, but 85% of their appointments through outbound cold emails because they're in the education space, dealing with big schools and big universities to get through to the principals, because you just can't get through to the principal over the phone. So we've got to make sure we're doing it in the right way. Morning, Sushi, Fatherhood. Good morning, buddy. Happy New Year to you. Full stop. Absolutely shocked. No name. Says salesmen are the biggest BSers in life. They're Instagram influencers. Their whole persona is face. So basically what full stop is telling us here, people, is anyone with a business, even if you're a gardener and you're going around touting for business, if you're in medical sales, if you're a holistic coach, if you're in meditations, any business in the whole of the world, Every product we see, from the people that sell this mic to selling these coffee cups to selling the phones that we're using to selling you the clothes that you're wearing now, all of those are the biggest BSs. So every business owner that's ever lived. So that doesn't sound like the sort of person that's probably ever going to work with someone like me. And do you know why that is? Because I've normally got a bit of a victim mindset, because they think everyone out there is a bad person. Now, whenever you see something on social media that's just got a full stop and probably, is it a car photograph? Amazing. I love it. What a ridiculous comment. You're right, fatherhood. You're right. JMC's 96. I used to make 80 cold calls a day as a salesperson selling IT, and I used to struggle to get through it. Okay. So here's the big thing with it as well, with cold calling. It depends what your data is. It makes a massive difference. So I'll give you an idea. Let's say you're going to do B2B. Morning, Lucy. Morning, JQ. Morning, Roman. Let's say you're going to do outbound B2B. If you're just calling a business where you're just talking to the receptionist all the time, you are going to have a very low conversion for even getting through to the right person. But if you went off and got the better data where you could get the direct dial for the sales director, finance director, whoever you're talking to, and then you're having a lot higher conversion in who you're actually talking to and when, it's going to make it easier. Often, what we're doing for most people that are out there is they're going into cold calling without having some of the main pieces in play to make your life easier and to make the experience for the other person has to be the best experience. We deal with a lot of sales directors. So when we're going into sales directors, we know that they have spent all day talking to salespeople. So the last thing that they want is someone else who sounds exactly the same as who they are. And we'll just say something which is quite out there but grabs their attention. And normally the goal is just to make them laugh. And that's one of the big differences. It's not about just pitching our product or our service. It's about getting people in the right place, getting them in the way that they want to be spoken to, and then helping them through a path if it's the right fit. Makes a big difference. Fatherhood, I used to have a sign stuck to my monitor that said it's not a cold call, it's a sold call. I like it. Nice. So there we go. Redder says, have you worked with people who try and find partnerships for their professional athletes? No, I haven't. We're in 17 or 19 industries, because what we're dealing with is not just one set area. We're dealing with founder-led sales and high-ticket salespeople, whether that's inbound and outbound, to train them up around the psychology process and systems to be more effective. Good morning, Lucy. Hope you're doing well. But feel free to reach out. There's some forms in the bio that breaks down what we do. So here's the thing I want to sort of cover before we have to sort of drop off today is the vast majority, no worries, Redders, the vast majority out there, when we're setting a lot of these goals and plans, and this is what happened with a lot of what we did, we had a plan on what is a problem we can fix. But the problem was, for the vast majority of the time, we were fixing a problem, but when you do one problem, when you fix this problem, often that will create a second problem that the person hasn't thought about. So think of it like this. Imagine someone does weight loss and they're 19 stone. I was 19 stone, still not exactly slim now, but I was 19 stone, now I'm 16. So I've lost 3 stone. So what's a problem by someone losing 3 stone? Suddenly, none of their suits fit. Suddenly, all their clothes don't fit, right? So the problem being, it's a good problem, but it's still a problem. So what's some other problems that can happen? For us, and this is what we didn't plan for, when we started helping these businesses do really well, they were suddenly overloaded by having too many leads, not having enough time. Because they were founder-led sales, they only had 15 to 20% of their day that they could do the selling. Because the rest of the time, they were going off and running the business, doing logistics, doing delivery, doing admin, doing marketing, doing social media. So when we solved a problem, what we actually did was create a problem. And because we didn't do this part, that slowed down our growth last year. So what you've got to then think about is when you're going through what you're setting as your goal for your business, what a problem are you solving and what problem are you then going to replace it with? So go back to weight loss. If you're going to help someone lose a load of weight, right, and they're suddenly going to look better, but they're going to have to change all their wardrobe, have you planned for the fact of how they're going to address that? Because if someone's suddenly got to go off and buy all new tracksuits, all new trainers, all trousers, tops, all the other stuff, that's a problem that some people have never thought about. So now think about it with who you sell to. If I work with a coach who's got a high ticketed product, and currently at the minute they only get one call a week, and they only convert 10%, and they're bringing a deal on every 6 weeks. They haven't even worked out how many they can handle, what's going to be the best way to manage their time. So even if we get them the right lead structure and processes, they haven't logistically got the systems in place to handle 15 clients a month, because they can operate at that lower level because they haven't got them in there. And that's the big thing they've got, right? Yeah, so Carl's just said the amount of clients that get upset when their clothes get too big. I say that's a good thing. It is. Now, it is a really good thing, but it's still a real problem. Imagine for the moment if you've got Joe Schmo, he's earning 40 grand a year. He's got 2 kids at home and he wants to do it. But now he's got to go out. Let's say that he spends normally £40 on a t-shirt and he's got 10 t-shirts. So to replace his t-shirts, it's £400. To replace his jeans is this. To replace this is that. So this is another thing that someone could do is go, okay, when we get to the stage of you losing weight, how are you going to redo your wardrobe? Now what you're actually doing is talking about the future problem, and it's also reassuring them about the actual success. Because why would Kyle be talking about, well, what are we going to do about buying you a new wardrobe? What's going to be the size you're going to go to? What type of clothes are you going to want to be wearing? Where are you going to start buying them from? And what are we going to do here? Now we're not talking about just solving the first problem. You're talking a lot further down the line, which helps us sell that first problem. Because if Kyle, as a prime example, had a partnership, imagine he does this. He's good at getting businessmen to go from 19 stone to 16 stone. Let's say that's it. So the shoulders are still going to be broad, but around the waist, it's not going to fit as much. Imagine if he had a partnership with a tailor, right? Nice one. So Welchie just popped in, by the way, if anyone doesn't know Welchie. He just says, bro's still waffling in 2024. You're still tuning in, buddy, on a Wednesday morning at 9:15. So Kyle, for a prime example, imagine if you did that for high-end businessmen that wore, business people that wore suits, and you had a partnership where they would go in and they could take their suits in. Right. There we go. You should be able to hear me again now. They could take their suits in and get it brought in so that they looked better again. So now they get to look good, and you've just helped them save money because they've got their 10 suits and they didn't have to replace it. That's just offered cost. But it's about us thinking about where people are going to go. It's not just about you fixing the problem they have now. It's one of those things out there. Yeah, so then, Carl, think about that. So if you've got that client now, right, and he wears loads of suits, let's say that the goal is to lose weight and add a bit of muscle. I've gone up from, if I go back now, I've added a lot more on my shoulders here, but I've also lost the weight. But my suits don't fit me because I'm too broad in the shoulders. But if you're getting someone who's just losing weight, maybe you can tailor their suits in. So actually now you go to a tailor and say, hey, I've sometimes got high-end clients that do da-da-da-da-da, and they just want the jackets pulled in and all that stuff. If they came in with 10 suits, would you give them a deal if I referred them to you? Yes. Okay, cool. And then you have a conversation with that client and say, hey, listen, I went and spoke to a tailor today. And when you're at the stage that you do da-da-da-da-da, you're probably going to be thinking, well, my suits don't fit anymore. I want you to be patient. And when we get to this stage, here's his number, give him a call and go off. And he's going to help you get those suits tailored in without you having to break the bank. You've now solved a secondary problem, which then helps them on the first problem that they weren't even confident they were going to fix. Now, they also now have a higher level of belief about fixing the first problem. So it's really important for you to think about with that, because actually the secondary problem can actually help you with solving the first one and the belief they have around solving that first problem. And what a lot of people don't think about is it's going to even happen. So if they've got a low level of confidence, yeah, you could do. You could get a referral fee, right? So Kyle's just said you get a percentage from a tailor, potentially. You could have a referral fee. Maybe he's going to do something for you. Maybe they end up being that person. Suddenly you could end up with all of these different things that could happen. So you've got to think about what a lot of the things are going to happen in around your business, and think about where are they going to be. So go down the weight loss one. Okay, so imagine it was me, and I'm at the stage now where I've lost 3 stone over the space of a couple of years. I'm now going back into doing cardio and adding in weights and doing this and doing that, blah, blah, blah. Where do I want to be in the summer? Now, if my coach could help me paint that picture to a level of belief, well, we're going to be here, then we're going to be here. The clothes are going to start feeling a bit annoying here because they're going to be a bit baggy, but I want you to hold out. Don't go buying it because you're going to have to replace them again. So we're going to have an 8-week window where your clothes don't feel great. But then what we're going to do is do this, this, and this. And then when this happens, you're going to do this. Suddenly, there's a whole line that you're flowing for those people. It is so important to think bigger, because it's not just give me your money and I'll fix a problem. Once you leave, they're still on their life, and now they should be in a different place from where they're actually at, right? If you know where they're going to be now, think of it like property. Someone I know, David Liddell, just dropped in on a property game. Paul Stapleton, they're in property, right? All of this stuff out there. If you've got someone now who's going to invest in a property deal, as a prime example, getting them on that first deal is one thing. But actually setting out the plan on when this one goes right, what we're going to do here, and then we're going to get here, and then this will happen, and then you're going to be here. And you paint out the next 3 years. The first deal is a stepping stone to get to all the other places. And because you're so organized and you're talking about things that they've never thought about, it shines a light that you're an expert in what you are actually doing. It also shows that you have been down that road before. It shouldn't just be transactional. This is why when you get numpties that will pop up on lives and give hate and moan about this, that's because they've had a bad experience with someone who sold badly, right? Stop selling badly. Actually help people long term. Do things that are going to go over and above to make sure they're there, but make sure that they get the results that they actually want. And so that when you walk off after the deal, after you finished your service, your product, your deliverable, they know exactly what they're doing for the next year. This is why it's so important to think past the deal. This is why it's so important to get yourself in their position, not just to sell your product or your service, but actually to make sure that they have such a high level of confidence on the delivery that you're going to put into it, but also on the flip side, that they know where they're going with that path. Excuse me. So if you're at the stage now where you're committing to do this part here, think about what we do with conversations to clients. That's a 12-week program. We're going to build out their pitch, their script, their client journey, their offer, their avatar. We're going to work with them. We're going to help them recover revenue from missed deals. We're going to make sure they've got the right pitch in there, the whole 9 yards. But the problem then is they go, well, I don't want to sell forever. Okay, cool. Well, we're going to train high ticket closers. And then these guys will come and work for free because they're trained, and you can give them leads. That's what the high ticket closer wants. Now they can grow their business. Now they're at the stage, you go, listen, even when we finish, it's like training for that marathon, right? Even when we finish in 12 weeks time and you've made an extra 60 grand and your process is right and your systems are right and this is right and your confidence up, your mindset's strong, then you'll be in a position I can match you with one of our high ticket closers, and then they can take over some of that. You can do less sales, they can do more, and over time they can take over all that selling, and then you can scale it out. Now that person has a plan of not just doing a 12-week program. The 12-week program is to get them to the stage where they're not selling. To get them to the stage that they're not selling, it's worth putting in the work. Because now it's not just about them making more money with us. Now it's a case of, okay, for 12 weeks, I need to go hard here, really work with Dave, really put everything into practice. And then when I've proven that the business is right and I've done all this, he's going to match me with a salesperson. That salesperson's going to close my deals. Now that's in a better position. So wherever you're at right now, instead of focusing on selling a product or service, go off and actually help those people. Is it? Oh, okay. Right, I'm going to end this and come straight back on because Devin tells me it's lagging. So TikTok, bear with me. Right, bear with me. Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Hey, Paul. Glad you like it. Saber Warrior, good to see you. Lucy, good morning, good morning, good morning. Right, let's try that one, see if that works a bit better. The problem was because we had phone calls that came in part of the way through. James C, thanks for dropping back in. I appreciate you. Adam, good to see you. So we were on here a minute ago. We had a good amount of people come through. Ben, Macy, good. Morgan, Danny, good. We ended it because it kept saying it was lagging. Unfortunately, if you get a phone call part of the way, hey, Vinny, through a call, it doesn't seem to connect back in the right way. Morgan, good to see. James C, good to see. Adam, good to see you. So yeah, so this is what we've been talking about. If you want to have a big year this year, by the way, if you're here on TikTok and you're tapping the screen, I make a big difference. Thank you. It really boosts out the algorithm and all that stuff. If you want to have a big 2024, right, you want to make sure that you can stay aligned with everything else that you want to do. Now, if you just focus on you and what you're trying to achieve, that's only going to get you so far. Now, if you work out how to help all of those other people get to exactly where they want to be, and you lower the amount of resistance it's going to take for them to get there, that's going to make it far easier for you because they're going to have a higher level of belief in everything that you do. If I'm building you a plan now for the next 3 years, it's going to be far easier for you to have confidence in what we're doing now because you can see the long-term roadmap. If all you can see is what you do with me right now, then you're thinking, well, is this going to work? What will I do after? There's a lot of things that are going to go into your mind. Now, remember, sales is change. That's all it is. You're selling a different plan, a plan that they haven't done before. So there's going to be doubts, there's going to be concerns, there's going to be things that they're not sure about. So by you then moving down the route of actually helping them by showing them the long-term plan, if you can make it really super simple and you can help people make a decision without it needing to be elevated in the risk, you're going to be in a far better position. And a lot of people don't do that. They get focused on just selling the benefits of their service. My nose is itching like crazy. About 2 secs. So we've had 2 people apply to the high ticket closer one and it doesn't look like it's come through. Anyway, so this is what you've got to work out is when you're committed, whether you're here on Insta, whether you're here on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, or whether you're here on LinkedIn, instead of when you're going out to sell as a salesperson or as a business owner, what I want you to do is I want you to look past what you sell, past the time of what it happens. I want you to look at the difference from where they are now and where they're going to be and what problems you're going to have created from the solution that you gave them. It doesn't mean that it's a negative, but it does mean that it's still going to be a problem. And we want to make sure that we're covering these avenues, right? If you're going out there right now and you're unsure on whether your product or service is going to work, they're going to have that same lack of confidence. And often that's because you haven't gone too far enough past what you're talking about. So think of it like this. Kyle, I think, was on here earlier talking about fitness. If we go down the avenue of Joe Bloggs is 20 stone, he wants to get down to 15, and we know why he wants to get to 15, but we haven't painted the picture of what happens after that stage, it makes it far harder. But if actually you go, okay, well, this is where you are now, this is your 2-year plan, these are what's going to happen as stepping stones, and one of those points is you got down to 15 stone. Now it's far easier for you to see this is a step, not the whole result. And now you're building out a bigger plan for what you're actually trying to achieve. And that's what makes a big difference for you all. And this is why it's so important for us to get into it. So if you're stuck at the moment, one of the most simple things that you can be doing is working out within the business is how you can transcend people past not just the problem that you're fixing, but everything else. Go back to it, like we said earlier. if you've got a business where you're selling, like we do with conversations to clients, right? We in conversations to clients build out your systems, your processes, your funnels. We tune the engine. Think of it like a car. We work on the chassis, the suspension, the fuel, the whole 9 yards. Then the problem that people would face is they don't have someone to close their deals. We now train high ticket closers to a high standard, and then we put them with these amazing clients that have leads so they can close the deals for them. The closer gets to work their own schedule and they get to make the money based on the commissions of what they closed. These businesses are going to get to scale because now they've got a lean business and they've got someone who's highly trained and who's deliberately there to sell and has been highly trained. So you've got to look in your own business. What are the flaws in what you're actually doing? You don't need to sell to everyone, but your perfect avatar, right? The people out there that you want to work with, what are the solutions that you can fix, and what are going to be the pain points across the board that are going to happen for the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months? Because if they are going to a place they've never been and they don't understand what's going to happen, they don't know what the path's going to be. So for you, it's vitally important to be able to lay that out as a clear timeline so that they can have more confidence on where they are now, where they're going to, how they're going to get there. And if you can point out the potholes on that journey, the pain points they're going to experience, it makes it easier. One of the things we talk to people about on the Conversations to Clients program, I tell them it's not all roses, right? On week 8, week 9, once the enthusiasm's left and once you've had your first deals in and once you've made an extra 10, 15 grand, often we'll see people have a lull in motivation because they've achieved more than they thought. And we tell them that. So then when they're on the program and they're at week 8, 9 and they get a bit flat, they're not too motivated, the discipline's not quite there, it's far easier to say, hey, but we spoke about this before. This will pass. And then they go, oh, yeah, we did. Okay, cool. So then they know that this pothole is a part of the journey rather than it pulling them off. Okay. Right. That's about it. I've got to go ready for calls. We've got half hour for our calls today. Going to have a good day. I appreciate everyone who dropped in. Thank you, those that came on. Yes, Devon, I use my hands a lot. It's called body language. Appreciate you dropping in. And go and have a good day. Thank you, TikTok. Right. Instagram, Gavin Farley, good to see you. Lewis, good to see you. Kingly Charlie, Ryan Harrington. Brian, good to see you, my man. 300. Finley, Vinny Drake, Curious Cat, Paul, thank you very much. See you all later. And then YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. Thank you all for dropping in, and I will see you all later.